I joined a server with 2 high-level players since many people have pointed out that I usually only play with low-level players. This is Mercy.
Hello.
He kept a secret throughout the entire journey. Meet female Chloe. Kind-hearted and hard-working. With 3 of us having over 500 nights, I was highly motivated. I rescued the first kid and I was being praised. From the first day, however, it was clear that Serge and I would not get along well. This is Serge. Professional victim, irritating boy. By day 3, I had rescued the second child, upgraded the campfire, and set out to rescue the third. I don't know if it's true, but ever since the last update, it feels like all the enemies in the game have become faster and stronger. I almost died. My health bar was literally 0. I rescued the child and was rewarded with a ruby chest and a chainsaw inside. Someone died as I returned to camp. Put down the kid and went back out to save the female. I forgot to introduce her. Her name was Bella, and she turned out to be a treacherous coward. Her dishonesty knew no bounds. She claimed she had died of starvation when in fact she had fallen into a trap. By day 12, however, the fire was finally completed, and only 1 kid was missing. Oh no, Sergey was hungry. Anyways, I set out to rescue the last kid. But my compassion held me back for a moment. Later that day, I finally arrived at the right place to save the last child. Not far from there, I was surprised when I found a second ruby chest with a second chainsaw, which I left for anyone to take. It took a bit longer than expected, but by day 23 all the children had been saved, and the fire was fully upgraded. The journey seemed so promising. I could then focus on defenses and building the base. My high-level teammates hadn't been doing much, but they understood who was in charge, except for Serge, the professional victim. With this amount of defenses, no cultist would ever make it into the base. It was perfect, but Serge had to come and ruin it with his nonsense. It may seem like I was overreacting, but when you've been working non-stop and someone who has literally done nothing to help shows up with their nonsense, it's hard to stay calm. On top of that, Sergey was laughing about it. Bad child, bad. I continued working hard, and when I heard the cultists' drums, I knew Serge would have to pay. Even though I wanted to mock him, I remained serious and professional. He needed to be put in time out so that he could meditate on his actions. By morning, female Chloe and her kind heart had to rescue the bad child. But I knew he had not learned the lesson.
No mercy. No mercy. No mercy.
I left him somewhere else, where female Chloe wouldn't get to him that easily. As I continued working on the base, Sergey, the professional victim, kept complaining. I brought him down because he was being too loud. It was at this point that we all suddenly realized something was very wrong. Remember Bella? Well, neither did we, but we soon discovered that Bella, the coward, had disconnected and taken the crockpot with her, along with other supplies from the camp. We had such a strong start. Everything was perfect. We had everything we needed to build a strong base and survive for hundreds of days. But Bella, the coward, destroyed our future. I knew Serge had to be somehow connected to this, so he needed to be punished. I placed him on top of the highest tree I could find to keep female Chloe out of reach. Instead of learning his lesson, Serge, the professional victim, kept asking for help.
No mercy.
I found some blueprints in a bush, and I knew then that Bella, the coward, had done this. Serge, the professional victim, kept whining and complaining, while the rest of the team spoke of things unknown to me. I spent the day looking for Arctic fox pelts, but couldn't get any. And since Serge kept complaining, I thought he might be hungry. Just because he was in timeout didn't mean he couldn't eat something. So I brought him some berries, but he refused to eat. His pride was that big. Very ungrateful. Female Chloe's maternal instincts kicked in, forcing me to take stronger measures. Serge, the professional victim, would have to spend some time in the cave. He complained for hours, but this time, the rest of the team wouldn't even dare to consider retrieving him. By morning, we were all saddened by the sudden departure of female Chloe. Her kind actions would forever remain in our hearts. She dropped her belongings and vanished. The team was falling apart. Only Mercy, the secretive boy, Serge, the professional victim, and I remained. The cultists came that night, and I provided support with my trusty flashlight as Mercy dealt with the rest. Serge had been in timeout for many long days, and I believed he had learned his lesson, so I decided to bring him back. Having spent so long in the cold, he needed to warm up quickly. His poor, professional victim body was beginning to show signs of frostbite. He was finally revived, and the boy was very happy. We had been playing for a long time. The days were slow, and that's when I noticed we had no beds. Again, it was the doing of Bella, the coward. Seeing that it was all pointless now, I suggested an honorable ending to the journey, but Serge couldn't be trusted yet. Even the beasts of the forest were now letting us know that our time was up. Serge, very brave but not very smart, decided to take on the powerful mammoth. The outcome was obvious. I had grown fond of my teammates, and Serge was no exception, so I cried a little when he died. My flashlight was needed again that night, and thanks to it, we had now reached an impressive 100 days in the forest. The deer could only dream to reach me. Some cultists hadn't succumbed to my flashlight, so Mercy had to deal with them, showcasing his impressive combat skills. I revived my friend Serge and made sure he was safe. There he was again, this time fighting a polar bear, one that had probably followed his scent from the days he spent at the cave. This time, however, he managed to bring the bear down. Unfortunately, a couple of nights later, he succumbed to a bunny. Mercy had finally come to terms with the fact that the team had no future. With deep pain and sorrow in our hearts, we had to accept our fate. It was decided we would become the deer's meal. Serge, the professional victim, was the first to fall. As I whispered my final words, I realized I was next. As the deer tore apart my flesh, Mercy revealed a secret that took me completely by surprise. Those were Mercy's last words, as he too was mauled to death by the ravenous deer, putting an end to this journey.